It's over. I lost the farmer's straw hat, one of the 10 artifacts of the Black Tower. But just as the thief Arca was about to retreat, a giant foot slammed in front of the 3 heroes of the Silver Wolf tribe. Wait for Elka to look up. I saw a hideous-looking flame bear watching them. This scared Elka, who was wearing a straw hat, out of his body. Then the flame bear slammed down on the ground. He wants to make the thieves who are in his turf pay the price. Only between breaths. Elka reacted. The natural bloodline suppression forced him to disarm. Hands up in surrender. I hurriedly stepped forward to pick up the giraffe hat. Check out the good news. It's magical. The straw hat was not damaged. Then the next step is to judge Elka and them. It's just that their situation is even more dangerous than I thought. The Minotaur and the Flame Bear are discussing breaking the thieves' legs. Suddenly, Theo translated to me. Flame Bear said he wanted to eat them all. It freaked the hell out of me. I hurriedly greeted the Queen of Bees. Spice up the Flame Bear with some honey to quench your cravings. Then I came to the Minotaur and the Flame Bear. I hope they will calm down. Just as I was talking to them about what to do with Arca them, all this was discovered by Elka on the sidelines. He couldn't figure it out. The most powerful monster on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Why would you listen to the command of a little human being? Hearing this, Elki came up. He had clearly heard Theo call the human the boss. It could be called a boss on the 99th floor. It could only be a sudden wail. Interrupted Elki. I saw Elkin covering his eyes in pain. A person who could be called a boss on the 99th floor. Only the Great Black Dragon. Otherwise, all monsters on the 99th floor. It's impossible to listen to that human at all. It turns out that the Great Black Dragon really exists. The Great Black Dragon. That is the boss of the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Could it be that the Black Dragon that rules the 99th floor of the Black Tower? Is it the weak-looking human in front of you? He disguises himself as a weak man to make us let our guard down. When you think about it, it's completely right. It seems that my grandfather's prophecy will soon come true. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's when it happened. I walked up, asked Elka, I'd like Elka to explain why attack Theo and steal the straw hats. As soon as word fell, Elka fell to her knees with a reverent expression and kept muttering. He wants to apologize to the Great Black Dragon. Please forgive us for being ignorant and rude. I don't know. Theo turned out to be your subordinate. Just a few words, but it covers a myriad of contents. What exactly does Elka mean by the Great Black Dragon? At this time, the administrator who was watching the play on the top floor of the Black Tower, the Black Dragon Aaron, was also taken aback. I saw him get up from the ground suddenly. He thought of a very interesting point. Meanwhile, a system message popped up in front of me. Black Tower Administrator. He said he would forgive you, to disguise the Great Black Dragon. You've received a new assignment. Let the wolves of the Silver Wolf tribe see the majesty of the Great Black Dragon. The Black Tower Administrator will fully support you. Show him the majesty of the Great Black Dragon. He said it would definitely help you. Hearing that I was not calm, did the Administrator just say that? Asked me to show him the majesty of the Black Dragon. Isn't it a flying pig? It's a flying black dragon. Although I was very surprised at this time. But I'm used to seeing big scenes, and I've already figured out how to deal with it. Now that you have discovered my identity. So far, I can't hide it anymore. You're right. My true identity is the Great Black Dragon. You covet my possessions. Also bullied my subordinates. This is absolutely unforgivable. Words just fell. The air seemed to stop. No one answered my words. The atmosphere is very strange. The administrator, the Black Dragon Aaron, who saw this scene, was terrified. I didn't think I would say such a shameful thing as a black dragon. Maybe it's because my acting skills are very realistic. Yosan asked Nyo Mei stupidly. What I'm saying is not true. My words also gave Theo goosebumps. My dear subordinate Theo, don't you want to accept the favor of the Great Black Dragon? Hearing this, Theo immediately became energetic. He yelled at the 3 Elkas and demanded that they surrender at the feet of the Great Black Dragon. In the knowledge of the offended Great Black Dragon Elka, very reverently lying on the ground, he knew that he could not be forgiven for the mistakes he had committed. He was willing to pay with his life for it. Seeing this, I waved my hand. I am the Great Black Dragon. I can be merciful enough to give you a chance to forgive. Just give me 10,000 tasks. I'll forgive you for attacking Theo and stealing the straw hat. Hearing this, Arkasuburo couldn't stop being surprised. But that's 10,000 tat. Theo on the side couldn't stop getting excited when he heard this. He didn't expect that he was actually at the boss's place. A huge sum of money worth 10,000 tower coins. Then I asked Theo to find a contract from his bag. Looked at, Elka hurriedly explained to me. They didn't have so many sons of Tully. Listening to Theo, he threw the contract in front of Arca. If you don't give money, pay with your bodies. If you don't give the tower coin, it's about working for us to offset our debts. That's when it happened. Arka receives a reminder for a younger brother Elki. If they don't work for the grid, the consequences are severe. The words, Elka pondered for a few seconds. Then he lay down on the ground once again. Elka told me he couldn't accept my offer. This answer was something I didn't expect. I'm a great black dragon, and I don't even accept it. Even Irene, the administrator, was furious. He couldn't forgive Elka. They dared to refuse the black dragon's offer. Seeing this, I crouched down in front of Elka. Gentle inquiry. Is there something unspeakable about the other party? Then Arka told us their story. The place where they live is the 85th floor of the Black Tower. There's a perennial drought there, and food is scarce. Their able-bodied young men came out to work for the Power Grid Group in order to feed the people of the 85th floor. For example, if you get this straw hat on your head, we can get the corresponding commission in the Power Grid Group. But now we know. This is the property of Great Black Dragon. Naturally, it will not be taken again. It's just that I can't take the straw hat back. We didn't spend our money to buy food. In this way, our people on the 85th floor will starve to death because of this. After weighing it up, Elka thinks giving her life here is the best way to go. I ignored Elka's pleas. Instead, I asked him if he knew what I was doing here. Everything they could see was grown by me. Hearing this, Elka suddenly realized, could it be the Great Black Dragon? You're right. I'm going to add one more clause to our contract. Let your entire tribe pay the 10,000 tard in return. I can provide food for your tribe. If you don't know this condition, how do you want to hear it? Elkin was the first to be calm. If that's the case, they chieftain Elka. I don't have to listen to the command of that grid-fat pig anymore. Elka Saburo then readily agreed to the treaty. There's nothing better than food that can save a family. Chief Elka also shed tears of emotion. And so it was without any casualties. I'm only slightly using the identity of the administrator Black Dragon Irene. He subdued Elka Saburo, the Silver Wolf tribe. You've done your job, said the Black Tower administrator, because the Great Black Dragon was praised. So he's happy now. Of course, I also did not forget to let Elka and Theo. A cooperation agreement was signed. After that, their job will be to assist the sales champion Theo. And Nyo-san and Nyo-mei are their predecessors. But I learned from Elka. It's the boss of that mysterious power grid group. When it happened, Theo walked over to me. He told me, it's been a long time since I've eaten a delicious piranha in a dungeon. I told him with regret. Now the situation in the dungeon is only a scream, spread throughout the dungeon. Theo was rolling on the ground. He could not accept the fact that there were no piranhas. The owner park Sejun promised to eat fish every week. I hurriedly told Theo to calm down. I told him, we're already doing what we can to find as much food as we can. Immediately after the warrior Black Rabbit and I checked the situation in the pond. The 10 perfection great poison soup that had been poured in before had all dissipated. Then the rest of the time is our hunting time for the first time in a long time. He is a powerful warrior in the Black Tower. The Black Rabbit smashed a hole in a huge rock with a single hammer. After widening the hole in pool, that's enough for us to get in. Suddenly, the warrior Black Rabbit couldn't wait to get in. Yet less than a second, he turned around and swam back again. Warrior Black Rabbit told me, you can't see anything of the black monster inside. I was very worried when I heard that. If you rush into the cave like this, the risk factor is also too high. Come to think of it, I turned and walked ashore. Asked Theo, who was playing with the bunnies. I wanted to ask him if he had anything like a lantern on him. I think it's also appropriate for a wandering merchant to carry these kinds of props. Unexpectedly, Theo told me he could still see clearly in the dark. I don't usually use props like lanterns. But he also forgot what was in his bag. Suddenly, a large pile of things fell out of Theo's backpack. The most notable is a purple necklace. I hurriedly stepped forward and picked up the purple gold necklace. Looked at, Theo told me. This is a prop that I bought casually at a shop on the road. I heard that I hurried to check the introduction of the props. Just tell that this is a scratched gemstone necklace. Other information is not viewable at all. At this time, I hurriedly contacted the administrator. Aaron. I wanted to help identify this gemstone necklace like a straw hat. The administrator told me, just leave this gem to him for safekeeping. It looks like the props are in a pretty good situation. I immediately understood what the administrator meant. Immediately, I pulled out a box full of magic tomatoes and handed it over. Congratulations on the mission accomplished. Once the task is complete, obtain a bright necklace after identification. Suddenly, a brand new prop appeared in the air. A pale yellow gemstone compared to an amethyst that was previously scratched. It's like two things. I looked at the bright necklace in my hand and was shocked. The necklace of light is a necklace with light magic engraved on the amber stone. Restrictions on use are level 5 or higher, and mana 3 or more. Crafted by the Green Tower Wizard or Spirit. The item level is C. Comes with skill level 1 light. can illuminate the surrounding space. The higher the wearer's mana, the stronger the skill ray. After reading the introduction of the bright necklace, I felt sight of my life. Isn't that just the lighting prop we need? Hearing this, Theo knew that he had happened to bring back a treasure again. Immediately, he hurriedly applied to his boss Park Sejun for representative welfare time. Looked at, I couldn't help but grab Theo's little hand. He's my golden treasure hunt rat. I was so lucky. For this reason, I would like to make an important announcement. I decided to appoint Theo directly. He is the person in charge of the distribution of our farm products. From now on, you can enjoy the benefits of delegates at any time. Hearing this, Theo also smiled from ear to ear. He finally survived on his own sales ability. I've also decided to make Theo president for one day. Hearing this, Theo immediately entered the state. Directly order me and Warrior Black Rabbit to immediately. Now I'm going to go to the pool and catch him a whole bunch of fresh piranhas. It is necessary to replenish all the protein that was missing during this time. Soon I was experimenting with the skill of the Necklace of Light. As expected, he was able to shine on his own. According to the skill introduction, it is said that the higher the mana, the higher the brightness. I hurriedly took off my necklace and handed it to the Warrior Black Rabbit to try. Unexpectedly, this move almost blinded my 24K alloy dog's eye. I didn't expect the magic of the Warrior Black Rabbit to be so powerful. Compare the two. It seems how weak my magic is. But then you don't have to worry about the field of view. Immediately, I fed the Warrior Black Rabbit a detoxified green onion as a guarantee. After all, it's hard to say that there is no toxicity in this pool. Then I tied the safety rope to the Black Rabbit. Instruct him. In case of danger, remember to pull the rope twice. Then I'll pull him back right away. In addition, I also brought the dagger and storage bag to the Warrior Black Rabbit. After all, in water with so much buoyancy, hammers don't work well. In the end, everything is ready. Just wait for the good news of the Warrior Black Rabbit. I saw the Warrior Black Rabbit take a sharp breath of oxygen. Then he plunged headlong into the icy pool. Soon, with the help of the bright necklace, the Warrior Black Rabbit enters the gloomy cave. Suddenly, the Warrior Black Rabbit saw a clear light in the distance. Then he quickened his pace. Desperately swim to the light. Soon, the Black Rabbit came to the place where the light was shining. Just leaned out. He was stunned by the view. It's like another universe. It's not just all kinds of creatures roaming around. There's also a vast space as far as the eye can see. Where has the Warrior Black Rabbit seen such a scene? He almost forgot why he was here. A figure caught his attention. It was an eel rolling its eyes. There are also some piranhas and lobsters rolling their eyes on the side. See here. The Warrior Black Rabbit immediately thought of it. This may be the effect of the poison soup. Without saying a word, he drew the dagger from his waist. The Warrior Black Rabbit wants to bring all this protein back. The dagger in the dungeon is sharp. With a single stroke, the eel's body was cut open. Suddenly, a bright light shone through the eel's body. What's that? The Warrior Black Rabbit didn't have time to think about it. I can only subconsciously reach out and take out the shiny thing. A prompt will pop up. This is a crystallization in the electric eel. Although the Warrior Black Rabbit does not know what the crystallization is, he knew that the boss, Park Sejun, must have liked this thing. Immediately, he decisively stuffed it into the storage bag. Voila! He ran the other end of the green onion rope towards the electric eel. This rare delicacy is definitely something to take home. Suddenly, the Warrior Black Rabbit felt a strong coolness behind him. I saw him turn around. A bloody jaw was spotted rushing towards him. Immediately, Black Rabbit used the buoyancy in the water to barely dodge the attack. But the electric eel was bitten hard by the great white shark. The Warrior Black Rabbit only felt a sharp tightening in his abdomen. Suddenly, he couldn't help but open his mouth. I saw that the water around him was constantly pouring into his mouth. Thankfully, due to excessive tension, the electric eel's body was torn off. But at this time, the Warrior Black Rabbit, due to a severe lack of oxygen, he was on the verge of a coma. At the last minute, his last consciousness, he grabbed a green onion rope, pulled the rope twice. On the other end, I immediately sensed the movement. I knew it was a rope signal that I and the Black Rabbit had set. Immediately I shouted. The friends behind me all gave me the strength to feed. Pull the rope desperately. Maybe it's because of the excessive buoyancy in water. The rabbits and I spent a lot of time pulling the rope. When it happened, the figure of the Warrior Black Rabbit appeared at my feet. But by this time the Warrior Black Rabbit had fallen into a coma. I hurriedly shouted loudly to the Warrior Black Rabbit. Wake him up! Warrior Black Rabbit, wake up! What the hell is going on inside? Park Sejun actually wants to dedicate his first kiss to Warrior Black Rabbit. It's just because the Warrior Black Rabbit accidentally probed in the water. Fell into a coma. He was rescued by me as soon as he came ashore. I immediately lay the Warrior Black Rabbit flat on the rock. I vaguely remember how to treat a drowning person in a Korean drama. As long as it is through artificial respiration, surely it will be. Unexpectedly, in the next second, the warrior black rabbit regained consciousness. A mouthful of salt water was squirted directly into my face. After seeing the warrior black rabbit who woke up, my worries vanished. But he seemed to be very puzzled by what I had just done. Seeing this, I can only let the warrior black rabbit calm down first. What I did just now was just trying to wake him up. But then again, just now, the black rabbit spat out the water in my face. Why does it taste so salty? Hearing this, it was the administrator Aaron who answered my question first. He said that the warrior black rabbit seemed to have run into the ocean of dimensions. Administrator Aaron told me, the dimensional ocean is the place between the levels of Black Tower, because there are a lot of scary sea creatures under the water. So people will go through the floor passage through the floor. But there will also be pools like this, a place where access to the oceans of the dimension can be reached. After listening to the explanation of the administrator Irene, it dawned on me. It's no wonder that freshwater ponds are filled with lobster-like sea creatures. It turns out that they all came from the ocean of dimensions. Suddenly, the warrior black rabbit thought of something. I saw him slam open the storage bag and pulled out a yellow bead like a Dragon Ball from it. The system informed me, this is the core item of the giant electric eel. You have successfully obtained the kernel of the giant electric eel. I took the kernel and was shocked. This item appears to be very advanced. Something that only monsters drop. The kernel of a giant electric eel. It is the kernel of an electric eel that has lived for 1,000 years. It shines with the power of electricity, able to learn thunderstorm skills while in use. Use is limited to more than 10 mana. A giant electric eel defeated by Park Sejun alone. The grade is a. After reading the system prop reminder, I was taken aback. Hurley asked. The warrior black rabbit did not encounter the giant electric eel and missed. I knew it was Aaron's perfect tonic that poisoned him. Listen to the warrior black rabbit. Only then did I remember that he still had some gift that he hadn't fished out. I saw something like a snake. He was violently pulled out of the water by the warrior black rabbit. It turns out that that is the true face of the giant electric eel that was poisoned. The warrior black rabbit is worthy of being full of strength attributes. I saw that a huge half-cut piece of electric eel meat was easily thrown ashore by him. See this? The saliva of the rabbits, and I was running down the corners of our mouths. But I'm still to come. A large school of piranhas and lobsters. At this moment, he rushed out of the hole. Maybe it's the undercurrent caused by the strange power of the warrior black rabbit. Led to all this. The good news is, we have an abundance of protein to replenish later. Then I jerked the warrior black rabbit up. He is truly my right-hand man. Warrior black rabbit. To remember such an important moment today, I decided to give it to the critters in the dungeon. Throw a big meat party. After a while, my cooking pot was quickly set up. But at this point, Theo called me out of the dungeon. He told me, in the real world, my family is in danger. Theo then took all the content of his direct communication with JD. 15110 told me. I was very upset to learn the truth. I never expected that. My magic tomatoes are selling so well. There was even a crisis for my family. But soon I calmed down and let Theo communicate clearly with JD when he goes downstairs next time. I want to know how they will keep my family safe. Of course, I can't let others do the work for me for free. Theo told me. JD now also seems to be interested in magic tomatoes. Case. That's easy to do. For this reason, I will give other crops as gifts. Presumably JD Paper will definitely like it. Just as I was about to pick up the cat strip for Theo, the kernel of the giant electric eel in my pocket fell out. I was attracted to a large group of proteins. I almost forgot about this baby. There's also a side skill. The electrical energy contained in it. I was able to learn the thunderstorm skill while I was using it. Hearing this, Theo jumped away from me. What he hates the most is static electricity. This will make the hair on her body hard. However, I was immersed in a fantasy of thunderstorm skills. After being a farmer for so long, I was finally able to learn decent skills. This is the experience that an adventurer in the Black Tower should have. Hearing this, Theo told me to give it a try. He also wanted to see what skills this kernel could give. But then I told Theo a very frustrating message. With my current capabilities, I simply can't use the kernel. The only mana I have right now is 8.05. The 10 manas to the limit are still far away. Hear this. Theo couldn't help it at all. I saw him laughing at me uncontrollably. Park Sejun was the least magical creature he had ever seen in Black Tower. Taunted by an orange cat. And what's more, he's still an employee under my command. I hurriedly asked Theo, and how much mana does he have? How dare you be so rampant? Hearing this, Theo's ass twisted. Turned his body around. He wouldn't tell me how much magic he had. Seeing this, I had no choice but to pull out the pendant of light. It is said that the higher the mana, the creature, the more dazzling the light will be. I saw a blinding light flash through my pride. Hit hard again. Coming out to mix up face is given by others. But it's also possible that you lost it. See this? The flame bear also ran over. Looks like he wants to try his magic too. But how could I be stupid? Hit yourself twice at the same time. Soon my carnivorous party was a success. Neo is beautiful, and Neo is definitely more fond of green onion leaves. And the rabbits also have Elka. The three era enjoyed the piranha meal. That's when Theo and I stepped forward and asked Elka Saburo. I don't know if these piranhas are to their taste. And me who sees the first coming. They quickly climbed down. Salute me. After all, in their eyes, I'm also the Black Tower administrator. The existence of the Black Dragons. Subsequently, Urkikanjiro said, the piranha is very tasty. To be able to enjoy the food provided by the Great Black Dragon. It's already a great grace. Seeing this, I asked Elka, who was worried. Ask him if he's still worried. Compatriots on the 85th floor at this time. Hearing this, Elka approved my inquiry. And don't forget to praise me. How's it going for one? You can even see this. Then I told Elka not to worry too much about it. In a few days, there will be a blue moon in January. When the time comes, I'll get the three of them back to the 85th floor. Of course, I will prepare as much food as possible for them in advance. Hear this. Urka plopped and lay down. He only felt that it was good to have a reliable master at this time. Then I instructed Theo. During this time, he led the three Arca brothers into action. I had to catch up with the planting and harvesting plans on farm. Hearing this, Theo greeted him very skillfully. Arca Saburo walked to the other side. Next is my arrangement for Neo Air and Neo Mei Air. I have an important itinerary for tomorrow. Need help from both of them. Hearing this, Neo was full of doubts. He hurriedly asked me where I was going tomorrow. I smiled crookedly. I'm going to the King of Cows and Horses tomorrow to collect my debts. As soon as the words fell, the two cows were frightened. Why did Park Sejun suddenly want to ask their boss for debts? Meanwhile, at the other end of the 99th floor of the Black Tower, I don't know how many days I've been hungry for a few days, and the cow brothers are eating nonsense. They have forgotten about themselves. It's been a long time since I've eaten fresh blades of grass. However, the King of Cows and Horses, who brought back the food, was not happy at all. His intention was just to go to the territory of the red-haired monsters. Find your little brother Neo Air and Neo Mei. I don't know how. He was attracted by a delicious pile of green grass. He even made things that made the world. It is considered a shameful act of prostitution by the people. Although he also brought back food for his clansmen. But look at the neatly cut green onion leaves. The King of Cows and Horses has lost his mind. Could it be that these are all planted by the red-haired monsters? Then the King of Cattle and Horses recalled the scene of that day. He couldn't even remember what the human looked like. Suddenly, the rabbit daddy on the side attracted the attention of the King of Cows and Horses. It must have been this white farmer's hat rabbit who planted all this. Although he didn't say a word that day. Snatched so much fresh and tender grass. The King of Cows and Horses decided that he still wanted to go back. Give the money to the white rabbit and the red-haired monster. According to the terms and conditions stipulated by the administrator. After the advent of the blue moon phenomenon, the amount of time he can leave the territory is reset. Although there is only a short hour left. Nor can he damage the reputation of the Minotaur warrior. In addition, he can negotiate more delicious young grasses. But another very important question arises. How to set the price of these young grasses? Park Sejun inadvertently unlocks a new ability for the farmer's profession. He was able to communicate with the rabbits without any barriers. Originally, Park Sejun was still preparing for a long trip. He asked the rabbits to speed up the recent harvest in the vegetable garden. Suddenly, several notifications came from the dungeon system. You've harvested 9 ripe magic tomatoes at the same time. Your career experience has improved. Your XP is full. The Black Tower D-Class Farmers class will be promoted. Congratulations on becoming a Black Tower C-level farmer. After reading the system's notifications, I was very surprised. I didn't expect it unconsciously. My career experience bar is full again. Immediately after that, the system notification popped up. Due to the rise in the rank of the profession, causes class traits to be enhanced. The nature of the profession will bring you closer to nature, thus stimulating hidden professional talents. Nature's friends can be unlocked. Nature's friends. This is a talent that has a high affinity with nature. Your communication with creatures that don't speak the language will be smooth. Suddenly a bold idea. It came out of Park Sejun's mind. He hurriedly turned his head and called out to the rabbit father on the side. Hearing this, Daddy Rabbit subconsciously turned his head to respond to Park Sejun. Sejun? Were you just calling me? Hear Daddy Bunny's words. Park Sejun was really taken aback. In order to verify that I heard correctly, he begged Daddy Bunny to repeat what he had just said. At this time, the sickle bunny on the side walked over. He asked Uncle Park Sejun with concern what had happened to him. I didn't say a word when I saw this. Picked up the sickle bunny. What did you just call me? Can you tell me again? I saw that the sickle bunny was disgusted by my behavior. He threatened to cut me down if he did it again. After that, I told Sickle Bunny with a serious face that he couldn't do this. Do you want to cut my hair off again? As soon as word fell, there was silence for a moment. Both Side Bunny and Bunny Daddy are in shock. How could Park Sejun suddenly understand what we were saying? Hearing this, Park Sejun told them, "This is because I have just acquired a new talent. From now on, everyone will be able to communicate normally." The two rabbits were very excited. Immediately, Daddy Bunny took the other bunnies who were busy with their work. They all shouted. After learning that Park Sejun can understand rabbit language, everyone was shocked. Mother Bunny changed her mind. He blamed Daddy Rabbit. Asked him if he took Sejun to pick up something strange to eat. Hearing this, I silently explained to the Mother Rabbit, "Daddy Bunny and I didn't eat anything strange. It's just a passive skill I just acquired." Hearing this, the warrior Black Rabbit could no longer hold back his emotions. A handful of pounces on Park Sejun. It seems that rabbits are also in need of friends who can communicate. Immediately after that, Park Sejun asked the rabbits to gather together. He told the people, "Something you want to say to me after this. You can communicate with me directly." Suddenly, a yellow figure flew over. It turned out to be the queen bee, who helped Sejun hold a straw hat. I saw her cautiously asking, "Maybe you can understand what I'm saying now, right?" Hearing this, Sejun gently touched the little head of the bee queen. "Of course I can understand what you're saying, and it's a very clear one." Hearing this, the queen bee was full of excitement. Then she lunged at me. This was followed by a large wave of bees pounced on them. It turns out that the bees are also very concerned about this. At this time, Park Sejun thought of his friends who were still outside the dungeon. He had to tell them the good news. Hearing this, Daddy Rabbit picked up a straw hat and handed it to me. In Park Sejun, I just put on my hat after that. Once again, the notification popped up from the system. Relic the Great Sage Patrick's straw hat. Confirmed the wearer's career level ascension. It has been confirmed that the wearer's occupation level is C. Patrick, the sage of the farmer, Relic the Great. The straw hat's level has been increased to C. That's when Sejun remembered. This straw hat increases with the owner's level. The restriction on the artifact straw hat's C rank has been lifted. The vault of the level 4 skill Emperor has been unlocked to restrict level 3 skills. The flesh of the peasant untied the restrictions. The second level skill Harvest Wish has lifted the restrictions. Level 1 skills promote growth and unlock success. Look at the last piece of information. I wondered, did I gain new skills? A level of growth promoting. It can promote the growth of 10 crops without side effects. The cooling time is 10 days per use. After seeing the outrageous effects of the skill, Plasterium was overjoyed. It can actually speed up the growth time of crops in a week. Come to think of it, Park Sejun can't wait to try it out. The scene takes place in the farmland outside the dungeon. Didn't take a while. Park Sejun planted a sweet potato seedling with his own hands. You have successfully planted the sun's pumpkin sweet potato sprouts. Due to the impact of the level 3 sowing skill, increase the probability of the sun's pumpkin sweet potato seedlings taking root. Proficiency in sowing skills has been slightly improved. Due to the impact of level 1 proficiency enhancement skills. Increased proficiency of level 3 seeding skills. 75% increase. When I looked at 10 sweet potato seedlings in front of me, newly learned growth promoting skills were used. A level 1 growth promotion skill is used. Promote the growth of pumpkin sweet potato seedlings in the sun for a week. It just so happened that Park Sejun was still hesitating when to plant these sweet potato seedlings. This is probably a great opportunity. Make a small area in the middle of the green onion field and plant sweet potato seedlings. It shouldn't be a big problem. When it happened, a ray of light shone from the surface. The sweet potato seedling, which was used to promote a growth technique. It's shaking nonstop. In the next second, they were about twice in size. But Park Sejun looked at the shiny green onion field in front of him. It was a strange feeling. Why did these green onions also appear bright? Suddenly, a notification from the system interrupted my train of thought. Pumpkin sweet potato seedlings of the sun. Influenced by the green onion field harvest wish skill. Before praying for good harvest in the green onion field, sun's pumpkin and sweet potato seedlings will increase yield by 50%. After reading the system's notifications, only then did Sejun suddenly realize. It turned out that the double buff effect was inadvertently triggered. Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice behind me. Wait for Sejun to turn around, only to find that a red figure was rushing towards him. This really scared Park Sejun. So in the presence of all the people, the flame bear knocked Park Sejun down. It turned out that it was the flame bear who received a message from the warrior Black Rabbit. He learns that Sejun can understand his language. I rushed over nonstop, but at this time, Park Sejun was already stunned, because he heard the flame bear actually call him Daddy, Mother's Womb. Park Sejun, who is single, actually became the father of the flame bear. Hearing this, the flame giant bear also spoke. It seems that Park Sejun can really understand the language they speak. Immediately the flame bear said, "It doesn't matter if it's Sejun, because Xiao Xiong has a lot of trust in Sejun, and willing to follow you." Immediately, the flame bear bowed its head reverently. For the original take-in, he personally expressed his gratitude to Sejun. Hearing this, Park Sejun was also relieved. Case. More baby. The sun doesn't seem hurt either. Followed by, Flame Bear tells Park Sejun's father. He is very hungry now. He wanted to eat honey grilled fish, sweet potato sashimi. Requirements for the son little bear. Park Sejun did not refuse. Instead, a new food scheme was proposed. A new crop was harvested just today. Let's beat the fresh potatoes with them. Then the potatoes were pulled out of the ground. This is the new crop that we're going to try this time. Potatoes of strength. Potatoes grown inside the tower. Get plenty of nutrients. It costs delicious. It is cultivated by farmers who are familiar with agriculture. The result is an increase in taste and efficiency. Break down 30 grams of fat in a body after ingestion. Power points increased by 0.5% in 10 minutes. Repeat the effect up to 10 times in an hour. The cultivator is the Black Tower Farmer Prairians. Shelf life is 90 days. Soon the power potatoes were put into the cauldron by me. Drift out of the dungeon with the aroma of food. The delicious power potatoes are finally out of the oven. For this reason, Sejun also asked the rabbits to prepare a grilled fish course. Fresh roasted corn and roasted green onions. That's it. A diary of Park Sejun's death trapped in Black Tower. Things are getting better and better. Of course, we didn't forget the gluttonous black dragon Aaron this time. Coming. Park Sejun is finally about to set off to collect debt from the king of cows and horses. However, the flame bear suddenly lay on the ground and rolled around. It's just that Park Sejun didn't bring her on this trip. Seeing this, I walked straight to the aggrieved bear and rebuked him angrily. Don't keep messing around. Put the bears. You have a very important mission to stay in the dungeon. You have to be brave and shoulder it. It's the responsibility of protecting abundance and the rabbit family. After listening to my encouragement, the flame bear immediately put away his tears. Sure enough, children are so coaxing. When it happened, Urka slowly lay down and expressed his willingness to be my mount on this journey. If you don't say it, it has to be the name of the administrator Black Dragon Aaron. Now I feel more at ease. And I told Aaron that it was beautiful. We can go now. So, we were in the burial chamber of the flame bears. Slowly left the dungeon. Officially embarked on a journey to collect debts from the king of cattle and horses. I don't know how long it took. Our group traveled through countless mountain ranges. Silver Wolf Elka is extremely fast. Dust kicked up along the way. The eyes of the Black Rabbit and Theo were tortured. Stunt. Suddenly, the sight ahead caught my attention. Looks like you're in the woods, but the darkness that emanates from it sends chills down my shoulders. Nowhere told me. There's a very disturbing guy in here. Just when I wondered, Neo mainly took over the conversation. He said that the 99th floor of the Black Tower is not only about flames. The two realms of the giant bear and the king of cattle and horses. The place ahead is the realm of depraved existence called the West. But Neo mainly continued. He had never been inside. The monster's instinct made him sense that there was danger inside. When I heard this, I was contemplating this fallen realm of existence. It seems that it will be necessary to discuss it with Administrator Aaron in the future. It's the creatures in it. Suddenly, my handsome face was hit hard by a lump of objects, and a tremendous inertia threw me to the ground. Neo, Aaron, and Arca were also frightened by this attack, hurriedly trembling and leaning over to me to check. Wait till I'm relieved, only to realize that all I had hit in the face was a pile of dirt. Not very aggressive, but it's extremely insulting. Wait for me to look in the direction the dirt is flying, only to find out that there were countless minotaurs there. I'm desperately digging wrong. Exact. They should be eating dirt now. While I was still wondering about it, Neo Meili has spoken. He asked who had thrown the pile of dirt. Hearing this, a spirit calf walked towards us. Listen to its tone. It seems that Neo Erniu is beautiful, and the two are very familiar with each other. However, he was greeted by a fist the size of a punching bag. Neo Meili flipped the spirit calf in place with just one punch. A week and a half. The loud sound of the two fighting also attracted the attention of the other minotaurs. However, there are cows beautiful here. We didn't panic at all. It seems that the journey must have been very safe. Soon we have the news of our arrival. It has reached the ears of the king of cattle and horses. When it happened, we just happened to be here. Yo Ernyo May told the king of cattle and horses. They returned with guests from the Red Fur territory. As soon as the state came out, me and Arca. Suddenly, I felt like I was being watched by countless pairs of eyes. It seems that the Minotaur is not low in hostility towards us. The king of cattle and horses was secretly rejoicing at this time. I didn't expect to wait for him to leave. And the prey came to the door. Suddenly, Park Sejun's figure slowly walked up. This sudden move made the king of cows and horses stunned. He had no impression of the humans in front of him. The king of cows and horses thought it was the rabbit who could farm. I saw Theo, and I speak loudly to the king of cows and horses. I'm Farmer Park Sejun. I'm Theo, a wandering merchant. This is the man who rules the dungeon. Park Sejun's first meeting with the king of cattle and horses at the top of the food chain. However, the king of cows and horses is not interested in the weak humans in front of him, and threatened to show mercy this time. Leave the man's name. Take this as if he secretly took it last time. Delicious green onion leaves to compensate. After listening to the outrageous siege of king of cows and horses, Park Sejun spoke. He said that the other party must have misunderstood. First of all, I'm not under the flame bear. Secondly, I came here this time to get you back. Stolen green onion leaves from me. Otherwise, the king of cattle and horses. From now on, you will bear the name of a thief. Hearing this, the king of cattle and horses jumped like thunder, crushed the ground with one foot. He would never allow himself to be looked down upon by a weak human being. He is the strongest existence on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Seeing this, Park Sejun hurriedly stabilized his figure. Then he pointed at the nose of the king of cattle and horses and scolded. If you didn't do that stealing, why do you feel empty-hearted? I thought the black-tailed dragons were warriors who prided themselves on their reputation. As soon as this mock came out, the little brothers of the ox and horse king couldn't sit still. Seeing this, the king of cattle and horses changed his previous temper. He quickly explained to me. Because their movements are restricted. That's why I couldn't explain it to us at the time. He will definitely pay the price for his reckless actions. Then the king of cattle and horses said, if there is any request, let's not hesitate to mention the words. Park Sejun asked lightly. Can you let me use that waypoint? Let me use the teleportation array. That's what I wanted. Hearing this, the king of cattle and horses fell silent. I saw him turn his head and look at the teleportation array he was guarding. And he nodded at me. Granted my request. If that's what you want. Of cattle and horses, I can promise you, to protect the reputation of the Blacktail Dragon Warrior clan, the king of cattle and horses actually agreed to my request to use the teleportation array. The surprise came so suddenly. Park Sejun himself didn't expect the other party to agree so happily. Immediately, Park Sejun hurriedly walked towards the teleportation array. He is now very worried about his family's safety in the real world. He had to leave the 99th floor of the Black Tower to do so. The screen turns. Park Sejun came to the teleportation array directly below. He would soon be able to leave the place where he had been trapped for almost a year. I saw that hand had just touched the stone of the teleportation array. 2 notifications immediately popped up in front of the man's eyes. Layer 99 conveyor point storage succeeded. Querying for additional waypoints. The waypoint memory is being confirmed. Dear users, we're sorry you can't move. Except for the teleportation point memory on floor 99. There are no teleportation points on other levels that keep records. Hearing this, Park Sejun was stupid. You need to have a teleportation point memory to use the teleportation array. See this? The king of cattle and horses also came over. He knew that Park Sejun was not a native of the Black Tower. But the only explanation for this is that Park Sejun didn't come to the 99th floor through the teleportation array. According to the king of cattle and horses, the Black Tower's waypoint starts from the first floor. Passing through each level requires the storage of teleportation point memories. In this way, you can teleport freely in the Black Tower. This is the rule that the Black Tower has set for the humans who are invited over. But you only have 1 teleportation memory point on the 99th floor, so you can't go anywhere now. Hearing this, Park Sejun's knees were weak. Plop fell to his knees. He couldn't have imagined that he had gone to great lengths to find a teleportation array. But he couldn't go anywhere. There is no more devastating news in the world than this. Park Sejun has now lost even the only way to escape from the Black Tower. But in fact, he already expected it. This trip will not go well. That's it. Park Sejun can only comfort himself in this way. Just listen to the slow mouth of the king of cows and horses. Although he is very sympathetic to Park Sejun's situation, but he let Park Sejun use the teleportation array as agreed. Hearing this, Park Sejun slowly stood up. He said that now the debt with the king of cattle and horses has been paid off. But how could Park Sejun come purely for the teleportation array? Then he made a suggestion to the king of cattle and horses. Hearing this, the king of cattle and horses frowned slightly. From ancient times to the present, no one dared to negotiate terms with him on his territory. I saw Park Sejun asking Theo to jump. Open the backpack, followed by a pile of green objects spat out of Theo's backpack. It didn't stop until the young green onion leaves in the backpack were piled up in the corner. This spectacular sight shocked everyone present. Even the battle-hardened, bull-headed brothers were scared into a cold sweat. Immediately after that, Park Sejun said, "It's a little bit of a gift as a neighbor of the king of cattle and horses. I heard that this can make the king of cattle and horses go away." His arrogance, just now, suddenly vanished. Then Park Sejun explained. Because recently his farmland is expanding. It takes a lot of manpower. If anyone is willing to help, such green onion leaves can be managed for 3 meals a day. That's what he suggested to the king of cows and horses. The screen turns. Come to the territory of the Flame Bear. The Flame Bear and the Queen Bee were looking in the direction of the Cow Horse King's territory. They have been waiting here for many days. But Park Sejun and others have not been seen for a long time. Suddenly, the Flame Bear was startled. It turned out to be a familiar figure in front of him. The person who came was Park Sejun, who was riding the silver wolf Elka. The crowd saw this. The Flame Bear couldn't hold back his mood any longer. Turned on the speed of 70 miles per hour directly. Ran towards Park Sejun. Baba, that the bear misses in his heart. He finally back. When it happened, Daddy Bunny came over. He asked Park if the trip went well. Hearing this, Park Sejun remembered something. He raised his hand and greeted the figure behind him. Then came the eye with 2 huge cow hooves. The person who came was none other than Park Sejun, the little brother of the strong man Yo that he brought back from the king of cattle and horses. Immediately after that, Park Sejun explained to the rabbits. These militarist warriors. He hired them all from the king of cattle and horses, mainly responsible for helping us reclaim more wasteland. Hearing this, the Flame Bear immediately lit up with star eyes. He has been completely attracted to the attention of the Nyo brothers. He then shouted at a monotonous warrior. Brother, your muscles are really amazing. Hearing the accosting, Brother Nyo glanced at the Flame Bear. It turns out that your kid is the bear mentioned by Nyo Air. Didn't take long. The Flame Bear became acquainted with the 3 Nyo brothers. He even couldn't wait to take them over to familiarize themselves with the work. Seeing this, Park Sejun could only sigh. What a naughty bear. No way. I don't know what happened to the cow and horse king's arrangement. The screen turns to the territory of the king of cattle and horses next to the teleportation ray. 2 militarist warriors are battling each other fiercely. It turned out that Neo Air was arranging the manpower to go over to work tomorrow. As long as the younger brother, who wins in the duel, you will be able to get a job spot tomorrow. See this? The little brother behind the king of cattle and horses said with deep emotion. It had been a long time since he had seen this group of militarist warriors. It's so passionate. He knew that the king of cow and horse had agreed to Park Sejun's agreement. In the near future, their territory will no longer be the wasteland it is today. After listening to the king of cattle and horses, he was also deeply moved. Park Sejun, this neighbor. The next 99 floors will become lively. This is the beast on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Man-eating bees. Each of them spits out a jar of honey every day. All it takes is a cup of tea. I used up all the jars purchased for Western medicine. Park Sejun glanced at the queen bee above his head. I saw him silently raise his proud head. Park Sejun then took the canned honey and handed it to the Flame Bear. He then asked the Flame Bear, "Isn't it going back to the forest tonight? Because tomorrow is the blue moon phenomenon of 1 degree in January in Italy." Time after getting an affirmative reply from the Flame Bear, Park Sejun handed more honey to the bear. That's when it happened. Elko on the side hurriedly told Park Sejun. They're also going to set off back on their home floor. Prepared it. The words, Park Sejun grinned. And tell Elka not to worry about it, because he had already prepared plenty of food for the Silver Wolf tribe. This is a hill of grilled fish, grilled lobster, and fresh green onion leaves. Elka Saburo choked up with shock at what he saw. Then he bowed his head silently. Lie on the ground, bow down reverently. This represents the greatest etiquette in their tribe. Just Park Sejun was entangled. Elka, how did they take all these things away? Elka Saburo promptly took out the storage bag they were carrying. These backpacks don't have as many features as a wandering trader's, but it's still a simple storage function. Just this to thump. The 3 packets landed firmly in Elka's hands. Then came the brief time of separation. Park Sejun made an agreement with Elka and the Flame Bear family. After spending the blue moon phenomenon, meet again at the entrance of the dungeon. The next thing Park Sejun has to think about is himself. Suddenly, a system message popped up. Aaron, the administrator of the Black Tower, asked, "What are you worried about? Is it because of the farmland again?" Hearing this, Park Sejun scratched his head. He was just upset because the blue moon was coming. Even the warrior Black Rabbit ran to help his family prepare the Black Tower. Administrator, all you have to do is trust him. The administrator also asked proudly, "Did you see him come out on the day of the blue moon to subdue the monsters?" Hearing this, Park Sejun was stunned for a moment. He knew that on the night of the blue moon phenomenon, all monsters that are hit will go berserk. The blue moon phenomenon a month ago, his fields were destroyed by the militarist warriors. At that time, he was very distressed. Although avoid the illumination of the blue moon, able to minimize losses, but they also need to be on the highest level of preparedness. That's all. Park Sejun told the administrator Aaron all his inner troubles. After a moment of silence, Aaron responded. He told Park Sejun he will guard that field. Hearing this, Park Sejun finally confirmed the answer in his heart. At the very beginning of Blue Moon phenomenon, the black dragon I saw, it turned out to be the administrator Irene. Then Park Sejun grinned. And tell Aaron, she'll be sure to trust the administrator without reservation. Please believe in the great black dragon Irene. The words that Brittany will be vigorously planting crops have just fallen. Aaron stretched. It seems that it is time to prepare for the Blue Moon phenomenon. I saw him push open the door of the room. Been in the room for so long. It's time to go out and get active. Immediately, the figure of the black dragon Aaron appeared on a narrow staircase. Didn't take a while. He came to another lighted exit. Immediately, his figure appeared in a delicate and dignified place. It turns out that this is a different world on the top floor of the Black Tower. Below this is a view of the 99th floor of the Black Tower. At this time, Aaron, who was lying on the balcony, couldn't help but sigh. He hadn't been out for almost a month to breathe. Then he turned his head to look at the device behind him. Now it's time to get to work. I saw a palm imprinted on the system frame. Then Aaron's eyes popped up in the administrator's interface. Could this be Aaron's way of dealing with the Blue Moon phenomenon? 8 blue moons it is coming. Once a monster in the Black Tower is irradiated, it's going to be very violent. However, if it is the Black Tower crop that is irradiated, it will produce fruits with the energy of the blue moon. It's almost nighttime. The rabbits all hid in their huts early. Only one figure remained, still busy by the fire. Park Sejun is ready for today's vigil. Suddenly, there was a crying voice behind him. It turned out that Theo was celebrating with the bunnies. I didn't expect it in a blink of an eye. Bunnies, they're already adults. Park Sejun hurriedly stepped forward to interrupt Theo's passionate performance, and kept urging him to hide himself in the package, thus preventing the blue moon from irradiating. In addition, Park Sejun took out a very familiar item, handed it to Theo. That's right, it's the queen bee's cocoon again. It's something she taught me with her own hands this morning. Recently, bees have been gaining momentum. Even the queen bee was born a lot faster. But Park Sejun doesn't know whether this trend is good or bad. That's when it happened. The color of the sky gradually turns blue. Park Sejun knew that this was a blue moon. It's coming soon. In a blink of an eye, the entire dungeon was covered by the blue moon, and the little bunnies who were still very immature just now. At this time, the norm has changed. Become a rampage bunny. However, Park Sejun, who was sitting in the corner, this is no longer a strange situation. He knew that this was the only way for the Dark Tower rabbit to become an adult. It only takes a while for them to get back to normal. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, there were all sorts of monster roars. Hearing this, Park Sejun immediately became nervous. At this time, there should be no monsters passing by outside the dungeon. However, Park Sejun glanced at the rabbits who were still in a state of rage. He suddenly realized a more important problem. These rampant bunnies are now in a state where they don't recognize their 6 relatives. Seeing this, Park Sejun hurriedly shouted loudly to the rabbits. Let them stop quickly. However, the next second the rabbits pounced. Park Sejun has lived in Haedagon for so long. Do you want to die tragically at the hands of your own rabbits? Suddenly, a familiar roar. Immediately, let the rabbits all calm down. Sure enough, it was the figure of the black dragon that appeared above the dungeon. It's admin Aaron. He finally arrived. At this time, the farmland outside the dungeon is not far away. A monster perched on a tree branch on the 99th floor appeared. Suddenly, the monster's survival instinct made him aware of the danger. I saw him look up. A huge dragon shadow swept over his head. See the monster. The tree head does not look back. Turn around and run. For him, this situation is simply a dimensionality reduction blow. However, zoom in and take a closer look. The figure of the black dragon is not an entity. It turns out that all of this is controlled by Irene, the caretaker at the top of the Black Tower. 300-year-old underage Aaron. He couldn't get out of this attic. For this reason, his grandfather built this set for him. A magical device that can be controlled remotely. The purpose is to be used when the blue moon phenomenon comes. Go and drive away the rampaging monsters. But this remote control also has a big drawback. Once too close to the ground, you'll dissipate. Anyway, Park Sejun's crisis of the blue moon phenomenon this time. I think I'll be able to get through it. After saying that, Aaron controlled the black dragon figure and flew into the distance. He was going to do it all at once. Patrol all 99 floors of the Black Tower. In the dungeon on the other side. Shortly after Irene's figure flew away, the 6 rampaging bunnies behind Park Sejun. The whole body is full of brilliant light. It seems that the time for them to go on a rampage this time is over. Didn't take a while. 6 cute white bunnies appeared. They have successfully passed the rite of passage. Looked at, Park Sejun hugged the 3 little rabbits. He thought he was going to die. Suddenly, there was a gurgling voice behind Park Sejun. A closer look. It turned out to be farmland in a dungeon, being baptized by the blue moon phenomenon. The man looked at the rabbits in his arms and was overjoyed. Now, they have something good to eat. It's coming, it's coming. Come. The black dragon Eric directly turned on Guyu's lying mode, experienced a night of long-range patrols. But he was tired enough. But if you have a blue moon fruit to eat, it's worth all the hard work. It turned out that Park Sejun and other crops in the dungeon. After the baptism of the blue moon, he led 6 newly grown rabbits to harvest the blue moon fruit. And for a while, white smoke billowed from the entrance of the dungeon. The freshly picked blue moon sweet potatoes have been baked. Soon Park Sejun brought all the blue moon fruits to the rabbits. They are the sun-sweet potatoes full of the breath of the blue moon. Potatoes with the scent of a blue moon, filled with the magic of the blue moon. All tomatoes. Immediately, Park Sejun took 13 blue moon tomatoes, 3 blue moon potatoes, and 7 blue moon sweet potatoes, handed them all over to the administrator. The black dragon Aaron turned over all the blue moon fruits. It's also a thank you to Aaron for guarding the fields overnight. The Black Tower administrator has thanked you. The Black Tower administrator tells you out loud. In the future, when the blue moon phenomenon occurs, it will be left to him to guard. Screen turns. A large hand caught the green onion orchid filled with blue moon fruits. The owner of the big hand is none other than the administrator, the black dragon Irene. He looked at the blue moon fruit in his hand that could heal his dragon's heart. Listen to grunt. Aaron ate it. Immediately in fruit, the energy of the blue moon spread throughout Aaron's body. Then he noticed that his stone heart was beating again. It's different from before. This time he felt a more stable flow of mana. Suddenly, a message popped up in the system. Unlock the achievement of the forgotten honey potato dish in the Black Tower. See the message. Aaron's face was full of confusion. Then he silently turned his head to look at the crystal ball. Could it be that Park Sejun is doing something behind his back again? Sure enough. At this time, Park Sejun was pouring honey on the blue moon potatoes. Seeing this scene, Aaron was angry. This bastard Park Sejun actually made honey potatoes behind his back. Even he himself did not enjoy this treatment. I looked at the message that popped up again. Aaron also has a countermeasure in her heart. A person who realizes a forgotten culinary achievement. Special class skills can be obtained as compensation. Special vocational skills are being confirmed. After reading the skill introduction displayed in the system bar, Aaron burst out laughing. This is simply the most suitable vocational skill for Park Sejun. Honey potatoes with a scent of blue moon. Just eat his words. Mana is permanently increased by 0.3. But at this time, where did Park Sejun know? I've just inadvertently unlocked a new achievement. He simply thought that the potatoes coated with honey tasted better. And then, Park Sejun handed the honey potatoes to the rabbits. They were tasting. That's when it happened. A rabbit flashed out. Stopped the rabbit as it was about to get started. Brothers, he told everyone very seriously. Daddy Bunny once explained to them, if there's a fruit of the breath of the blue moon, you should get priority to Boss Park Sejun. The reason, of course, is the well-known Uncle Park Sejun. He's just too weak. Park Sejun, who was still a little moved, directly broke his defense when he heard this. He didn't expect that he was actually the one who was holding everyone back. So in the end, Park Sejun could only eat it with tears. This bucket of blue moon honey that boosts its magic. Soft and delicate taste, paired with a sweet taste of honey. It's hard not to sink into it. Suddenly, a system message popped up. Congratulations on realizing a forgotten dish. Honey potato achievement. Park Sejun, who saw this notice, was just as confused as Aaron. Just dip your hands in honey. The potato, unlocked for no apparent reason. Achieved Administrator Irene. I nodded my head with great satisfaction that you had accomplished this achievement. You have received a new mission. Please entertain the Black Tower Keeper with honey potatoes. The bonus is a special class skill. If refused, I'm going to be very sad. Park Sejun looked at the task prompt in front of him. Still haven't figured out the situation. He's just eating with honey. Afterwards, Park Sejun could only pick up the bottle containing the honey according to the task. Then, they were poured on top of the regular potatoes. Congratulations. Mission accomplished. You have successfully earned a special class skill. First class cuisine. A dish made with ingredients from the Black Tower. The taste and effect will be significantly improved. After reading the introduction of the skills, Park Sejun was taken back. And there's a recipe in the class job. It's a honey potato full of the smell of the blue moon. Take a look. There's also a detailed introduction to its features. Is it after the farmer's profession? Can he still be a Black Tower chef? But there are many surprising things in the Black Tower. Slowly I got used to it. This is the 8th blue moon phenomenon that Park Sejun has spent in the Black Tower. It was also his most calm. A dried with a mushroom head appears in the woods to the west. He almost broke into the vegetable field outside Park Sejun's dungeon just now. Thankfully, Administrator Aaron intervened just in time. Skim away. The frightened dryad unknowingly ran to a strange place. Just as he was looking around, a large root appeared at his feet. Just listen to the plop. The dryad tripped and fell to the ground. Successive unfortunate encounters made the little dryad feel extremely uncomfortable. But that's not all. Suddenly, a pair of huge palms slammed at him. In the face of a sudden attack, the little dryad didn't have time to react. Soon his large, tree-like hands immobilized him. The little dryad's body creaked as it was scratched. And for a while, his feet were completely restrained. It was a loud bang. The little dryad's life has also come to an end. The owner of the palm of the huge dead tree also slowly appeared. He is a fallen tree yokai from the 99th floor of the Black Tower. After half a ring, the figure of the fallen dryad appears at the border of the forest. And behind him are countless fallen dryads like him. What exactly attracts them? All this anomalous phenomenon. Could it be related to Park Sejun? Screw turns. Come to the Silver Wolf tribe on the 85th floor of the Black Tower. Thanks to the countless supplies that Elkasaburo brought back, the Silver Wolves successfully solved this year's food crisis. The wife looked at the patriarch Elka and said slowly, "Are you leaving again now?" Hearing this, Elka nodded. The blue moon phenomenon is over. It's time to go to work. Then Alcala took his wife's hand. Side expression. They are now the men of the Great Black Dragon. A good day for the Silver Wolf tribe. It's coming soon. Then Elka made a handsome turn. He decisively left the tribe again with the 3 Urkikan brothers. At the Black Tower's teleport, the sound of a chase caught everyone's attention. I saw 3 panting gray rabbits running in front. It looks like they're being chased by someone. The gray rabbit who ran at the end just glanced back, was scared out of a cold sweat. Suddenly, a murderous figure appeared beside him. Immediately afterwards, the gray rabbit was directly forced to turn off the sports mode by the other party. At this time, the other 2 companions of the gray rabbit also had to stop. Unbeknownst to them, however, that they were also being targeted by a werewolf. Didn't they succeed in escaping this time? That's what happened. An off-white ear appears and shot. Just ready to go up. Elka on the 99th floor. It was as if I heard someone crying for help. At this time, a gray rabbit had been choked by the throat. It turned out that the yellow-haired coyote was trying to catch the fleeing gray rabbit. It has crossed many floors. At this time, another of his companions slowly walked over. He told his teammates evilly, "I have to eat rabbit meat today to relieve my anger. If there's one less anyway, the boss won't find out either." After saying that, he grabbed the rabbit in his hand. He shoved it into his abyssal jaw. Suddenly, a punching bag-sized fist interrupted the coyote's feeding. In the next second, his body sank deep into the concrete. It turned out to be Elka. They arrived just in time. Organized it all. However, another coyote recognized Elka's identity. He hurriedly said, "These 3 gray rabbits are all slaves who have escaped from the power grid organization. If this is known to the boss, you will not have good fruit to eat." Listen to Elka tell the coyote coldly, "If that fat pig is here, I'm going to do that punch just as well. But if you don't want to die here, just get out of here." Hearing this, the coyote closed his mouth in amusement. He knew he wasn't 85 at all, the opponent of the Silver Wolf tribe patriarch Arca. Then he picked up his wounded companion and left silently. That's when Elkin came over. "Tell big brother, wasn't a little too crazy just now?" Elka also realized it at this time. Now their Silver Wolf tribe is completely torn apart from the power grid organization. But the top priority is to save these rabbits. He can't get used to seeing others bullying the weak right under his nose. At this time, 3 gray rabbits are lying on the ground. Very weak, constant trembling. It seems that they have not recovered from the crisis just now. Seeing this, Elka sighed. It seems that we can only take them with us on the road. Maybe the Great Black Dragon will help take care of them. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon on the 99th floor of the Black Tower, Park Sejun is about to announce a good news to everyone. He told the people, his magic power has successfully broken through to 10 points. Yet heard the news. The silence of Theo and the bunnies was deafening. Is this little thing good news to celebrate? See the reaction of the crowd. Park Sejun suddenly quit. This was already the moment when he reached the highest magic in the dungeon. Alright, and the 10 points of magic also represent. He can now eat this item. Here are the first few episodes. The warrior Black Rabbit retrieved the huge eel liner in the pool. Once you eat it, you can gain a new skill. At this time, Theo yawned inappropriately. He just wanted to get a good night's sleep now. After the farce, Park Sejun also couldn't wait to stuff the eel liner into his mouth. I thought this thing's going to be hard to eat. I didn't expect it to taste a bit like orange-flavored carbonated drink ice. You have successfully taken the inner liner of a giant eel. You have learned level 1 of the Thunderstorm skill. Be lack of mana. Causes the Thunderstorm skill to be unusable at all. For the safety of users. The Rain skill will be sealed. For the safety of users. The Lightning Thunder skill will be sealed. Rain and Thunder skill level 1. You can create dark clouds to use the rain thunder skill. The first step is to create dark clouds. If the more magic, the denser the clouds, the more dense they will be. If the environment is suitable, the probability of rain will be low. Requires 30 mana or more to use the rain skill. Requires at least 70 mana to use the thunderbolt skill. After reading the skill introduction, Sejun blew up directly. He just wanted to learn a skill. There's so many more restrictions. Now I finally have 10 magic skills. The result is not usable. Isn't this playing tricks on people like monkeys? Immediately, Sejun raised his hand angrily and waved. Shout out the slogan of creating dark clouds. I saw a gray mist suddenly condense in the sky. In the next second, a delicate dark cloud was successfully condensed. Everyone who saw this scene was stunned in place. Only the flame bear. This good boy applauded Sejun. Seeing this, the rabbits all went back to the dungeon. It's so boring. But what the rabbits don't know is, such a big dark cloud has condensed. It caused 1/3 of the magic power in Sejun's body. Persistent and intense frustration is constantly hitting Sejun's little heart. At this time, Theo came silently, patted the hand of boss Sejun. Although you are weak now, but you're my boss and the bunnies, aren't you? There's only flame. Little Bear excitedly ran to Baba Sejun. He thinks Baba is the best person in the world. He'll block out the sun. Hear the words of the little bear. Sejun laughed at this time. I didn't expect to inadvertently collect a small padded jacket and smash it. But then an untimely voice sounded again. It turned out to be Theo lying on Sejun's lap. Asked the boss to move that cloud a little bit. Otherwise, he would have been so sunburned that he couldn't sleep at all. Meanwhile, a familiar figure also came to the dungeon. It turned out to be Elka of the Silver Wolf tribe. They also had 3 gray rabbits shivering on the ground. Looked at, Sejun curiously asked about the identities of these gray rabbits. Hearing this, a gray rabbit hurriedly knelt down. He begged Sejun not to eat them with a trembling cry. Sejun, who looked at the gray rabbit covered in scars, immediately realized something. They must have been terrified. Then Sejun walked towards Elka. Prepare to ask Gray Rabbit. That's when they went along. The sound of a large pair of scissors falling to the ground attracted everyone's attention. The people who came were Daddy Rabbit and Mother Rabbit. They were looking at the scarred gray rabbits, speechless with excitement. Then I heard Daddy Rabbit shouting excitedly. That's great. You're still alive. Hearing this, one of the gray rabbits also looked at the rabbit couple excitedly. Immediately, the 5 rabbits hugged each other. This sudden situation. But everyone else was stunned. What the hell is going on? Do you know the bunnies and the gray rabbits? This scene frightened the rabbits. Even Elka, the battle-hardened silver wolf, couldn't help but freeze in place. I saw 3 skinny gray rabbits in front of me eating frantically. This is already the 2nd plate of food they have eaten. A few hours ago, they had just met their uncle, Daddy Bunny. Suddenly, one of the gray rabbits choked on food. The mother rabbit hurriedly handed over the water. The gray rabbit who came to his senses. I couldn't help but express my gratitude to the great black dragon. Hearing this, Sejun asked him not to see outside. And he turned his head at the same time and told the silver wolf Arka. In the future, they can just call Sejun by his name. Soon, Sejun looked at the gray rabbits and had new doubts. It's just because the system sees the names and professions of the gray rabbits. They're the artist Gray Rabbit, carpenter Gray Rabbit, and builder Gray Rabbit. Sejun never thought of it. All 3 gray rabbits are skilled workers. After a full stomach, the gray rabbits also explained their experience during this time. After escaping from the farm that exploited them, they were caught again. Fortunately, I met the kind silver wolf Arka to help. Only then did I reunite with my uncle's family by mistake. Architect slumped on the ground. Gray Rabbit also told everyone. They escaped from the 55th floor. The words are not finished yet. Daddy Rabbit grabbed the little hand of the Gray Rabbit. It seems that he is very sensitive to the 55th floor, that Gray Rabbit said. What happened to the king and queen? What the hell are those monsters going on? Daddy Bunny's crazy serial questioning made everyone present stunned. Immediately, Sejun hurriedly asked Daddy Rabbit to calm down first. What about the king and the monster on the 55th floor? Hearing this, Daddy Rabbit realized that his behavior was out of shape. And he told us, in the Black Tower a long time ago. But about a few decades ago, their proud kingdom of the Red Ribbon perished. Life in the kingdom was very stable. Rabbits grow healthy food on the fertile land, build beautiful buildings and cultures in the city. He also maintained a peaceful life with his excellent fighting ability. But unfortunately, at this time, an accident happened. We were met with an enemy invasion. Tens of thousands of monsters suddenly appeared in the sky, although the soldiers of the state immediately put up a corresponding resistance. But there are really too many monsters. They devoured the Red Ribbon Kingdom like a shadow of destruction. Overnight. And so the nation perished. In such a chaotic environment, the king, queen, and princess were thus lost. And the citizens who have lost the king are trying to escape the monsters. I could only scatter and escape from the 55th floor in order to find a new place for the family. That's why the rabbit family came here. Hearing this, Park Sejun's doubts from the first episode have finally been solved. It's obviously the 99th floor where fierce beasts are rampant. There was actually a rabbit couple. Hey, Bunny Daddy. It was thought that all the creatures on the 55th floor had been destroyed. Today, I learned that my nephew is still living on that level. Here, Architect Gray Rabbit explained. He and the others didn't have time to escape. The companions of the passage could only stay there and wait for the end of their lives. But I don't know why it didn't take long. The monsters are all gone. And in that land, they were greeted by the Grid organization, which appeared there. Hearing this, Elka picked up the Gray Rabbit's words. Elka was right. Appearing there are a herd of wild boars calling themselves the Power Grid organization. Led by wild boars, the pheasant leads the boar people. Occupy 55 floors where the king has been lost. Since then, the rabbits were all enslaved. Home to the kingdom of the Red Ribbon. It became a big farm with a grid that only produced food. The three hares really couldn't withstand the torture of the wild boars. How he escaped. Seeing this, Park Sejun hurriedly stepped forward to comfort the sad gray rabbits. After that, you can stay in the hut of the warrior black rabbit. Watch the rabbits walking towards the dungeon. Park Sejun was thoughtful. Then he touched the straw hat on his head and said, "Looks like they want to get this hat." It's also a wild boar named Pheasant. Hear the words. Arca tells us about the background of the grid boss, the wild boar Pheasant. The food in his hands has a great influence on the Black Tower. But the most disgusting thing is, he took pleasure in exploiting the people under his hands. I thought of Elka, who had worked for wild boars and pheasants. I feel nauseous. Theo, the wandering merchant, also told what he knew. Most of the grain in the Black Tower. It was circulated throughout the Black Tower through the Merchants Guild. I heard that the largest supplier among them is the big landlord power grid organization. Hearing this, Park Sejun hurriedly asked, "The wild boar named Pheasant. I don't think it's going to be on the 99th floor." Listening to Elka put my mind at ease. The mercenaries in the Black Tower are cowards. No one will want to come to the 99th floor. Seeing this, Park Sejun breathed a sigh of relief. His combat power is equal to that of Scum, and he is no match for that wild boar at all. Meanwhile, the picture comes to the Pheasant Castle on the 55th floor of the Black Tower. This is also the original Red Ribbon Kingdom. I saw a roar spread throughout the castle. The boar Pheasant had just learned from his men that the slaves had escaped. And his subordinates hurriedly explained. It's all because Elka of the Silver Wolf tribe has defected. He didn't just save the rabbits and beat me up. After hearing this, the big landlord Pheasant snorted coldly. It turned out that he had long doubted Elka's loyalty. He had long since stopped supplying food to the Silver Wolf tribe. At the same time, the big landlord Pheasant also ordered his subordinates on his side. Take the wandering merchants who have come to get food now. All sent back the way they came. He wanted to curb the circulation of grain and Haida to the greatest extent. A familiar feeling appeared in him again. Just like when the Pheasant won the 55-layer Red Ribbon Kingdom. He had to take control of the entire tower this time. The scene returns to the dungeon on the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Park Sejun lazily sat up from the green onion mat. He then tried to wake Theo, who was still asleep. But Theo, who loves to lie in bed, can do what he wants. Immediately after that, Park Sejun came to the pool alone. I was getting ready to wash, but the scene in front of him made his eyes widen. A brand new freestanding pool appeared before his eyes. A water pipe made of green onions is pouring water into the small pond. There's even one that's beautifully made. It is not at all inferior to the drift of modern society. Could it all be the work of the gray rabbits? Just when Park Sejun was about to wash his hair and celebrate, Theo, the wandering merchant, called out to the boss. Park Sejun, wait for him to get closer, only to find that the situation here is even more surprising. Not only the exquisite dining table and cutlery, there is also a cooktop of modern principle. He said the bowl was also a bionic. Vivek and Byrick, they made it purposely. There's Theo's own palm print. It turns out that these are the names of the gray rabbits, and they specially made these furniture in order to repay Park Sejun. Even the sickle bunny, who took care of them yesterday, received a gift. It's a brand new bandana. Park Sejun hurriedly walked over to the gray rabbits. At the same time, the rabbits also saw Park Sejun, and they all lowered their heads. He solemnly expressed his gratitude to Sejun. They're limited in their abilities, though. But I also want to do something for the other person. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed Bymick. Immediately afterwards, Park Sejun asked the three gray rabbits seriously, "Don't you want to get a job here?" Hear this. The gray rabbits immediately understood what Park Sejun meant. They have a chance to stay here, don't they? Rabbits farming, a giant bear chopping down a tree. There are also cattle plowing the fields. Who would have thought of this scene? They actually appeared on the 99th floor of the Black Tower, talking about the news that Byrick was taken in by Park Sejun. It has been spread all over the dungeon. Every rabbit cheered as their relatives joined in. And Park Sejun completely took a fancy to the handiwork that the gray rabbits were good at. He believes that no matter how complex an item is, it's hard to beat the hands of the gray rabbits. To this end, Park Sejun came up with the first thing he wanted to build. That's the house where the rabbits live. Although 6 new, white rabbits have just grown up. But building a house was just too much for them. At this time, Theo, the wandering merchant on the side, was suddenly unhappy. He also really wanted to have a room of his own. But it is well known. The backpack he carries with him can be used as a sleeping bag. Suddenly, one of the gray rabbits noticed the scene beside him. This is the bed and belongings of the owner Park Sejun. He didn't expect Park Sejun himself to not even have a decent house. Immediately, the gray rabbit proposed. I want to build a room of his own for Park Sejun. Of course, building a human house in a dungeon would be a bit cramped. Outside the dungeon, though, that's different. Hearing this, Park Sejun couldn't help but ponder. Because of the expansion of the land, he was spending more and more time outside the dungeon. Now Park Sejun also has a flame giant bear, guardian of the Silver Wolf tribe and the warriors of Minataris. Security is definitely no problem. To think of it, Park Sejun and Gray Rabbit hit it off. Agreed build. Immediately after that, the Gray Rabbit came up with the need for sediment. Used to make bricks. One mention of dirt. Park Sejun immediately thought of the Minataris warriors. Screen turns. Park Sejun has already taken the Gray Rabbit to the territory of the king of cattle and horses. There's a lot of fertile soil here. It didn't take long for the Gray Rabbit to complete the dirt assessment here. The soil here contains fine dead leaves and full of moisture. This is an excellent material for making bricks. But Park Sejun knows that the king of cows and horses is not a well-meaning lord. An ideal proposal to exchange mud bricks for green onions. Immediately taken by the king of cattle and horses. Allah, the king of cattle and horses shouted loudly. A Minataris warrior still eating dirt on the side, and warned them not to eat again. Clay used to make bricks. In the end, the clay used to make the bricks was perfectly solved. Meanwhile, the animals in the dungeon are all moving, under the command of the rabbits. The flame bear is responsible for going to the forest to collect the wood needed to build a house. The Minataris bull warriors are all in full force. Turning the earth is being carried out. Immediately, the white rabbits, who are skilled in farm work, are in charge of sowing the new fields. A white rabbit with a water fox natal item. He is responsible for watering the fields. And what is the idle silver wolf arca doing? Unexpectedly, he began to take charge of riding, train the flame bear in combat. The course is seen as such. Park Sejun appropriately fed the flame bear. Plus one encouragement. Elka smelled the sweet honey. Immediately drooled uncontentedly. Of course, where will Park Sejun be missing his share of dessert? Although Elka was afraid to accept it at first. But if you say no, you can't say no. That's it. Under the rabbit's superb and perfectly coordinated work, Park Sejun's farmland has ushered in a new harvest time. Congratulations on getting the gourd sweet potato of the sun. 15 class XP increased. Level 4 harvest skill proficiency has increased dramatically. Due to the impact of the level of proficiency skills, Level 4 harvest skill mastery is increased by an additional 5%. Congratulations on earning 450 XP. Congratulations on your successful upgrade. Long hours of work outside the dungeon, though, made Park Sejun's body begin to be unbearable. Then he decisively created a dark cloud above his head, so that he won't get sunburned because of it. Skill proficiency in creating clouds has increased. Park Sejun looked at the green onions that the rabbits had gathered. There were so many of them that they were stacked into a hill. It seems that the construction of a sturdy warehouse is also imminent. Suddenly, a figure slowly walked towards Park Sejun. It turned out to be Theo, a wandering merchant. He told Park Sejun he was ready to go down and sell their produce again. Hearing this, Park Sejun hurriedly led Theo. This time, I brought them detoxified green onion downstairs and sold them to humans. The amount of green onions he has harvested lately is a bit too much. After hearing this, Theo immediately agreed to the proposal of the boss Park Sejun. This time, he was going to bring 100 detoxified green onions. Go downstairs and see what's going on in the market for new products. After all, Theo doesn't know either. Interpret how much demand there is for green onions in the human market. Because when I look at it from Theo's point of view as a cat, that Song was not the slightest attraction to him. Suddenly, Park Sejun shouted at Theo that it was time to eat. Hearing this can make Theo anxious. I saw him grab a handful of green onions and stuff them into his bag. Don't forget to call the boss Park Sejun. Don't touch his meal. But what no one knows, there is something that is not a green onion. Quietly Mimi slipped into Theo's backpack. But Theo can't do that much. Go a little later. He probably didn't even have scum left for lunch. Screen turns. Come to the 67th floor of the Black Tower. It looks like a damn jungle. Suddenly, a coherent cooing sound broke the quiet jungle. It turned out to be one of the aboriginal creatures of this jungle. Giant frogs. Just listen to the whoosh. A swift bolt struck him in the head. The life of a giant frog is fleeting. This is also the cruel law of survival in the jungle. The culprit who took the life of the giant frog was a lizard man. I saw him do 2 steps at a time. A few dodges came to the giant frog. But to the surprise of the lizard man, a red figure was lightning fast. The frog came first. It looks like the other side is a red locust. In the next second, the locust was pinched in the palm of his hand by a big hand. I saw only lizardman. Without hesitation, he swallowed this locust weaker than him into his mouth. It is clear that he has forgotten a terrible truth. The locust. It never came alone. At this time, the lizardmen also noticed a movement above their heads, just as he slowly looked up. A scene that was enough to shock him for 2.5 minutes. Tens of thousands of red locusts appeared. At this time, he was lying on the root of the tree above his head, just breathing. The locusts sounded the horns of attack. Countless red locusts struck the lizard men like a hurricane. But at this time, even if the lizard man does something, I can't change my ending. You heard the old bong, resounding through the 67th floor of the Black Tower's jungle. Just a moment, the red locusts slowly dispersed, and the figure of the giant frog and the lizard man. It's gone. Only the lizardmen's hunting bows and arrows remained in place. At the same time, the Black Tower's top administrator, Black Dragon, Aaron's crystal ball kept ringing with the sound of an alarm. The continuous noise made the sleeping Aaron unusually manic. He remembered that he didn't set an alarm before he went to bed. Just as he reached out to check the crystal ball, the moment the anomaly alert came from, nearly 100 notifications poured out. The sound of numerous sirens made Ellington feel bad. The Black Tower is 67 floors. The invasion of 5.3 billion red locusts was ushered in. After reading the first notice, Aaron immediately panicked. This is a creature that only appears outside the tower. Actually invaded his own tarot. He vaguely remembered. More than 100 years ago, there was also a locust invasion. Fortunately, his grandfather intervened in time to solve them. At the same time, it also prevented the demise of the 55th floor of Black Tower. Come to think of it, Black Dragon Aaron immediately connected to external communications. However, his current abilities were not enough to enable this feature. That's when it happened. A new announcement arrived. The Black Tower is 67 floors. 0.01% of living things. It has been razed to the ground by red locusts. And this number is still being updated. After reading the notification, Black Dragon AI Ling suddenly panicked, and the 6 gods were without a master. This time, he didn't have his grandfather's help. Can we still solve the crisis of the invasion of the Black Tower this time? High-end ingredients often only require a modest way of cooking. The delicious eel meat is neatly cut into messy pieces. Then fry on a hot iron plate until cooked through. Finally, sprinkle the sole and garnish with green onion leaves. The next dish is the ceiling of the gastronomic world. Sweet potato miso soup. Only the remaining oil from the fried eel needs to be used. Then pour in the sweet potato cubes that have been cut into cubes and set aside. Fry the sweet potato cubes until the surface is golden brown and crispy. At this point, pour in the key seasoning immediately. Stir with fresh honey. In the end, the delicious sweet potato miso soup was successfully baked. The third course is fried fish that no one has ever tasted in the Black Tower. It's not just about mystical flavor, and its appearance is also difficult to look at. Fried eel food. Rabbits are hiding far away. I was afraid I would be burned by the oil splashed on the iron plate. That's when Park Sejun told rabbits. There is one dish that is better than honey potatoes. Hearing this, the black rabbit's face was full of disbelief. Just listen to the ding. The newly included recipe representative of the Black Tower system recognized the dish. Realized the forgotten dishes on the online Black Tower. The achievement of sweet potato miso soup. The recipe for sweet potato miso soup is recorded in the first level cooking skills. Skill. Proficiency has been greatly improved. Park Sejun, who cooked 3 dishes in a row, was instantly ignited with a passion for cooking. He decides to fill the dungeon with forgotten recipes. But now the main thing is to share with friends. Grilled fish with your own hands. Roasted corn with sweet, sour tomato juice. Shredded potato, miso, sweet potato soup. There are also piranhas that have been fried until they're browned. Nor can it be wasted. A hard-working Minotaur warrior. Also have a delicious meal of green onion leaves here. The tender juice was enough to satisfy them. The era of the Silver Wolf tribe are meatless and unhappy. It only takes 2.5 minutes. There is only a little juice left on the green onion plate. Park Sejun who was well-fed and drunk. Looking at Theo, a wandering merchant lying flat, he told Theo, "Now it's time to go down and do business." Hearing this, Theo was not verbose. Call the car directly. And his bodyguard also sat up. Suddenly, Theo saw the boss Park Sejun. There was also a plate of food that had not been touched at all. He hurriedly asked, "Here's what's going on." Listen to Park Sejun said. "These are all left to Administrator Irene. But what makes people feel strange? Start with just now. Park Sejun's cries have not been answered by the administrator. I don't know what's going on Aaron's side. It shouldn't be a big deal." And what Park Sejun doesn't know is, at this time, Aaron on the top floor of the Black Tower was already busy and dizzy. She has tried countless options. It's a pity. His admin privileges were not escalated. "I finally made my dragon's hard jump again." Aaron was frustrated. If this continues, the Black Tower may be devoured by the army of locusts. 10% of the territory on the 67th floor of the Black Tower. It has been razed to the ground by an army of locusts. In turn, come to the Black Tower Merchant Passage. Central headquarters. Here are the Black Towers gathered on each floor. The person in charge of each important organ unit. Chief among them is the Wandering Traders Association, the Mason Free Foreign Aid Association of the Fox Clan. Iona the Fox is heir of the hamster tribe. He was sent to take charge of the security here. He is the reason why the leaders of all over the world are gathered here today. Also curious, because this is a very rare occurrence in the Black Tower. At this time, Mason, the leader of the Fox Clan, spoke. He told people, "It's been 5 days since the Red Locust attack on the 67th floor took place. Based on feedback from wandering traders, 2/3 of the territory has been devoured by invaders. The current 67th floor of the Lizard Men, defending desperately around waypoints. But according to the situation reported by the spies, it can only be described in 4 words, extremely tragic." Hannibal of the Winyan Tiger raised his own concerns. It's time for the merchant passage to be restricted. How likely are the Red Locust armies to invade other levels? Mason's face was full of displeasure. He told Hannibal, "Outsiders are not allowed to enter the merchant passage." The army of Red Locusts was clearly an intruder from outside the tower. How could they possibly pass through the merchant passage? But if the waypoint on the 67th floor is breached, it was only a matter of time before the enemy invaded other levels. First is the 68th floor of the Black Tower. This is followed by the 69th floor of the Black Tower. The Black Tower is 69 floors. It is a large dragon farm owned by the Lizardman Kingdom. It is one of the 5 main grain-producing areas in Haitari. This is a matter of survival for all the people of the Black Tower. If things continue like this, there is a good chance that the famine of 100 years ago will break out again. Mason's words startled everyone in the chamber. Suddenly, Iona of the Hamster Clan spoke. He slowly spoke of the demise of the 55-story Red Ribbon Kingdom. Although now the granaries in the tower have been scattered, but 55 floors at the time, it is the largest grain storage station in Haitari. The reason for the destruction of the country was also because of the invasion of the army of Red Locusts. We must not make the same mistakes in the same kind of things. Winyan Mason calms Iona down. But haven't they already rebuilt the granary of that time? Iona let out a sneer. The wild boar tribe continues to exploit the rabbit family. It also occupies the circulation of grain in the Black Tower. Hearing this, Hannibal of the Tiger Clan shot up. He had a distinct sense that Iona the hamster was sarcastic at all of them. Suddenly, someone in the meeting mentioned the administrator Big Black Dragon. Such a big thing happened in the tower. Didn't the Black Dragon who guarded us stand up to solve it? Hearing this, Iona scratched her forehead in annoyance. Then he jumped out of his seat. All the time, once the news of the invasion of the Red Locust Army occurred in the Black Tower, because of the existence of the great Black Dragon that has always guarded us. So the army of Red Locusts was quickly wiped out. But the last time there was an invasion of the Red Four Kingdoms, the great Black Dragon did not come forward in time to solve this matter. So it led to 55 floors at the time. The largest grain warehouses were destroyed. As a result, there was the worst famine in history. And even so far, it also affects the normal life of certain floors within a tower. Now the Black Tower is 67 floors. Once again, there was a massive invasion of Red Locusts. We can't guarantee that. The Great Black Dragon was able to come out in time to solve it this time. But we have to do something about it now. Otherwise, order in the tower will soon collapse. So the Mage Guild will send 200 war mages. Go to the 67th floor to support you. What will the presidents of other associations do? The screen turns. Came to the Silver Wolf tribe. Elka had already led Theo down to the level of their tribe. At this time, Theo was constantly urging Elka to move faster. He couldn't wait to go down to the 38th floor to do business. Suddenly, several immature voices sounded on the side. It turned out to be the little wolves of the Silver Wolf tribe. They are curious about the arrival of Theo, a wandering trader. It is even believed that Theo is the great black dragon of the Black Tower. Hearing this, Theo stood up proudly. He is the subordinate of the famous and great Black Dragon, played by the ultimate wandering businessman cat Theo. After listening to Theo's words, the little wolves have turned to little fans. I was lucky enough to meet the subordinates of the great Black Dragon. It's also a blessing for 3 lives. The pursuit of the little fans is very useful to Theo. That's it. He pulled out a few skewers of his treasured grilled fish from the package. Thrown out. These snacks are your reward. Immediately after that, Theo wanted to get more grilled fish out of his bag. Suddenly, he touched something that surprised him. Immediately, something that looked like a sweet potato from the sun appeared in his hands. No, this is clearly the sun's sweet potato. How could he end up in his bag? Theo's roar caught Elka's attention. He leaned over and asked Theo what was going on. At the time, Theo said very weakly, "All is well. I don't have any problems. I'm perfect. You can't go wrong." The wandering merchant cat saw this. Elka didn't pay any attention to the situation. With Theo, I'm ready for the next trip. However, no one knows. At this time, Theo's heart is like an ant on a hot pot. He swore that he would destroy the evidence. No one should be allowed to discover his mistake. What if you don't sell the sun sweet potato to the humans on the 38th